dia, amigo, embaixador do Brasil. Buenos dias, embaixadores do Peru, Paraguai e República Dominicana. Now you know how to greet Latin America. To Brazil, you say bom dia, good morning. To the rest of Latin America, you say buenos dias, means the same thing, good morning. So next time, when you go to Delhi for your visa, you tell at the Brazilian embassy, bom dia, and at the other embassies, buenos dias, and you will get the visas immediately. And if you need anything on Latin America from the Ministry of External Affairs, go to South Block and say, Vanakkam to Ganapati. A few months back, there was a young Argentine lawyer sent me an email requesting for an appointment with me. And I gave it readily when I met her the next day. The secret was, she started her email saying, Vanakkam sir. And the secret behind is Mr. Vinod Surana. She had come on an internship and worked with him for about a year. And she has gone back with great admiration for India, loving Indian dosa. Talking about greetings reminds me of chapter 23 in my book. It's called The Queen of Curious Nights. When I went to Argentina in 2007, one day I was listening to an FM radio in the night. At 10 o'clock in the night, there was this sexy, attractive female voice which said, Namaste. I was curious. And then she said, now we will start the program of Curiosa Noche, Curious Night. And she started telling stories about love and romance and philosophy and taking questions from the listeners. And she finished her program at 1 o'clock in the night, again saying Namaste. And it goes from Monday to Friday, every day. 10 o'clock Namaste, 1 o'clock Namaste. So I was curious about this Argentine woman, and I went and met her. And she's a fascinating admirer of Indian culture and a practitioner of Indian culture. She has got a full-fledged Kali temple in her house. She does puja. And she practices yoga, meditation, and she loves wearing sari. So I invited her to be the hostess of our Festival of India, which we organize every year in Buenos Aires. And it was a great hit. As many of you would know, the government of India kicked me out of the service on 31st of May, saying I have become too old. When I told this to my Latin American friends, they gave me an advice. You don't stop having fun when you are old. You become old only when you stop having fun. So I've been following this advice very seriously, having fun. So I have no problem with retirement or old age. The only problem for me was leaving Buenos Aires and Latin America after having lived there for about 12 years. And in my farewell speech in Buenos Aires, I said, Las maletas están listas, corazón no. The suitcases are ready, the heart is not. And my heart not only was not ready, but it protested. It went on a strike. I had a heart attack on 10th of January. Serious, it's not story. And I had to undergo a quadruple bypass. But my Indian friends, they teased me. They said, you know why you had a heart problem? It's because of too much of Argentine meat. And my Argentine friends, they said, no, it's because of too little Argentine wine. If you had drank more Argentine red wine, your heart would have been healthy. And what did my wife say? She said nothing. She was stunned and speechless when she discovered that after 23 years of marriage, still I had a heart. She didn't believe. And even now, she doesn't believe I have eyes or ears. One day when she was giving me coffee, there was no milk. I said, what happened? You didn't listen. Yesterday I told you there was no milk in the house. So you have no ears, you are deaf. Then after each party we have at home, the next day morning she would say, you remember that blue dress the wife of this Argentine ambassador was wearing? I said, what dress? You don't see. So you are blind. But the worst was, in one of her birthdays, which I always forget, in the morning I was reading newspapers, she came to me and said, I had a dream. I looked at her and said, oh, that was the famous speech of Martin Luther King. She said, don't be silly. I had a dream that you are giving me gift of a diamond necklace. I finished reading the papers and went. Then I remembered in the evening, she wanted a gift. So I brought a gift for her. And she was very disappointed with the gift. Because it was a book and the title was Interpretation of Dreams. So like her, many of my Indian friends who read my book, they were also disappointed with this book. They saw only two words in the title, innocent and seductive. So they said, hey, we also want to be seduced by Latin America. We also want to lose our innocence. But where are the pictures? Where are the contacts? I had to tell her, no, I can't put it publicly in the book. This book, Malgudi to Macondo. You know Malgudi. Malgudi is the fictional town in the novels of R.K. Narayan, where the people are simple, innocent, religious, conservative, traditional, and serious, very serious. If you have to make the people from Malgudi to laugh on a Friday, you must tell them a joke on Monday. You need 5 days to think, analyze, understand, and decide to laugh on a Friday. Macondo is the fictional town in the novels of Gabriel Garcia Marquez, the Colombian writer who won Nobel Prize for 100 Years of Solitude. This book is about people of magical realism, Latin America. So once I asked a friend of mine in Brazil to explain what is this magical realism. He explained with a story. There is this Indian journalist who goes to interview a Latin American celebrity. So after his professional interview, He says, I want to now ask you some personal questions. He said, go ahead. First question, do you smoke? So the celebrity says, no. Do you drink? No. Do you take drugs? No. Do you do etc.? No, no. Come on. No one is perfect in the world. Everyone has some defect or some vice. What is yours? So this Latin American celebrity tells him with a smile, sometimes I lie. Sometimes I lie. In this book, I have covered 3 aspects of my discoveries and my experience of Latin America. One is the Latino spirit. Second is what I call as the new Latin America. And third is the synergies and complementarities between this new Latin America and India. The Latin American spirit is best illustrated by a pop song of an Argentine singer called Axel Fernando. Celebra la vida, segundo a segundo, nada se guarda, todo se prenda. Celebrate life from second to second. Hold out nothing and give out everything. This is the best illustration of the Latino spirit. People ask me, what is the secret of your passion? I say, it is the people of Latin America. Wonderful people. Warm and friendly, full of life, free-spirited, optimistic, cheerful, enthusiastic, energetic. And they have a fascinating culture of music and dance, salsa, samba, merengue, tango, and football, and carnival, and so much of experience to enjoy. I have given a glimpse of these aspects of Latin American culture in various chapters. The second is New Latin America. What is this New Latin America? I'll give you one example. In the old Latin America, there were crises of debt, default, and the Latin American presidents would go to IMF in Washington, D.C. and request them for rescue money, and they were trembling. But now in the new Latin America, Christine Lagarde, the executive director of IMF, went to Brasilia in December 2011. And in her meeting with President Dilma, she was trembling. She was trembling because she was requesting for Brazilian funds for IMF to help out Europe. In the olden days, IMF would put conditions for this kind of rescue. Now President Dilma, she put conditions. She put 2 conditions. Number 1, IMF should reform itself. Number 2, you tell these Europeans to exercise discipline and responsibility. This is the role reversal. This is the new Latin America. Now, this new Latin America has synergies and complementarities with India. I call this complementarity as the complementarity between bikini and bindi. In Tamil you can say between pottu and ottu. You go to Copacabana beach, you find the girls wearing a 7-centimeter bikini. And you go to Marina, you find women wearing 7 meters sari. And there is a complementarity between this spiritual energy and the sensual energy. I'll give you 3 examples of this. There is this Brazilian actress called Gisele Monteiro. She was a model, she came to Bollywood, she acted in Love Aajkal and Always Kabhi Kabhi. In that, she was wearing a sari and she was putting bindi, and all the Indians thought she was an Indian. Later, they discovered that she was a Brazilian. There's another Brazilian entrepreneur. I wrote an article about her. It's called Brazilian Surya. Her name is Cecilia. Now, Cecilia, she was working in a shop owned by an Indian in London called Malhotra. They fell in love and she took him to Sao Paulo. Being an enterprising woman, she wanted to start a business. She started importing henna products from India and distributing. The business grew. And then, instead of importing the products, she started importing the ingredients and made products with her brand. It became bigger business. And she started exporting. It became $20–25 million business. And now, you won't believe, she's exporting henna products to India. She's exporting something like about $2 million. And not only that, she wants to open a factory in India to produce henna products for exports to the rest of the world. That is the synergy between the bikini and the bindi. There is another woman about whom I wrote an article called Argentine Satya. Now, she is a famous fashion designer. She was working with Bloomingdale's. One day, when she used to have dreams, in her dreams, there was an Indian guru with hair like this. It was a recurrent dream. But she didn't know who was it and what was it about. But one day, when she was in a bookshop in London, she was checking some books and something fell from the top shelf. She opened and there was this picture of Sai Baba. Then she started research and found that he is here in India. And she came, got his blessing, and Sai Baba told her that you will do business with India. So she left Bloomingdale's and she started sourcing fabrics and accessories from India, make fashion garments in Argentina and export to Europe and United States. She has been to India almost 100 times. Every year she comes 3 times. Now I'll give you the examples of 3 Indians who have succeeded in Latin America the other way. There is this young Sardaji called Simarpal Singh. He cultivates 30,000 hectares of land in Argentina. But when he went there in the beginning with his turban in the interior of Argentina, the women over there, they thought, oh, he's the Maharaja, he's a prince from India. The men thought, oh, maybe he's a guru, maybe we can get some wisdom out of him. And the kids thought he's a magician. But the guy has managed to get land and cultivate 30,000 hectares. He's doing extremely well. And now he's going to Brazil to do cotton cultivation. Then there is another Indian called Aziz Abdul from Pondicherry. This guy, he was born in Vietnam. He speaks perfect Vietnamese. And then went to France for IT studies. He worked as an IT professional. and then discovered late in his life that his call was for wine making. So he has come to Argentina, he bought vineyards, and now he's producing Argentine wines called Chateau Hanna. The last is the case of 4 young Indians, IT guys, who went to Colombia. They went for a project, and 3 out of the 4 Indians, they quickly married Colombian girls. And the 4th one did not, because he was already married. They resigned from their jobs and they started their own company called Sophos Solutions. And now they are using Infosys as a subcontractor for them, for their work with Bank Colombia. So it works both sides, the synergy and complementarity between India and Latin America at the level of the people. Now, I know some of my friends in India, they say, oh, you're being spoiled too much in Latin America with too much of passion. But I tell them, no, I'm just a victim, a poor victim of the charms of Latin America. And I tell them that I'm not the first victim. The first victim was Rabindranath Tagore. He went to Buenos Aires in 1924. And he was looked after by a very attractive, elegant Argentine woman called Victoria Ocampo. And he stayed as a guest for about 2 months. And thereafter wrote a series of poems called Puravi. Since her name was Victoria, the poems are called Vijaya. And she inspired and encouraged him to start painting and drawing. And she organized the first exhibition of Tagore's paintings in Paris. Well, I would like to conclude thanking Dr. Ravi, the Secretary General of the Chamber, and also the one who got the first PhD on Indo-Latin American trade. And I must also tell you that when I went to Sao Paulo in 1996, he was the first Indian businessman I met. He came to my hotel where I had the consulate for about 6 months. And he said, sir, you must take up with the Brazilian government to get 5-year multi-entry visas for Indian businessmen. And sure, we took it up with the Brazilian government, and they readily agreed to give 5-year multi-entry visas in 1997. And guess, he was the first one to get that first Brazilian visa. I would also like to thank SICKI and the EAPC for their support. And lastly, Mr. A.V.M. Balu. When he became the Honorary Consul of Paraguay, I was delighted. I thought he was going to make a lot of movies on Latin America. Mr. Balu, I have lots of stories for you. You know what they say in Latin America? A man without stories is no man. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Before I request Mr. Ganapathy, IFS Secretary West, Minister of External Affairs, to deliver the inaugural